Most of my daily life is like getting into cars and showing up to a set, or I just like, if I'm off, I just either hang with my friends or chill with my girlfriend inside.
During a recent interview with People magazine, Pete Davidson just casually called Kim Kardashian his girlfriend for the first time on air. Since being linked together back in October when they were photographed holding hands on a roller coaster, many of you have been wondering if this would develop into anything further. While chatting with Kay Adams, host of People, the TV show, Pete really opened up on what it's like living in the spotlight. The comedian replied, "Well, I don't really have Instagram. I don't have Instagram or Twitter or any of that stuff, so most of my daily life is getting into cars and showing up to a set. Or if I'm off, I just either hang with my friends or chill with my girlfriend inside, so I don't do much. Dating a member of the Kardashian family is certainly going to bring some unwanted attention, even if he does try to keep a low profile. Although he did say that fans' interest in his life has had virtually zero impact on his day-to-day, later adding, "Once in a while someone will scream something at you, or it might be hard to get Dunkin' Donuts, but other than that it's pretty fine. It's not awful, it could be way worse." What definitely could be way worse is having your ex blasting your parenting style on social media and threatening to beat up your new boyfriend. Pete staying off social media right now is probably the best thing that he could ever do. I feel like Kanye would also greatly benefit from doing the same, but hey, that's not my place to say. Kim and Pete first started to make headlines back when she hosted an episode of Saturday Night Live. The pair shared an on-screen kiss during a sketch where they played Jasmine and Aladdin. Following this, the two of them have been spotted together on a number of occasions, including when they spent time in Palm Springs to celebrate Pete's birthday, and when the duo had a romantic dinner and a movie date in Staten Island, New York, which is Pete's hometown. Just last month, they also enjoyed a post-New Year's vacation in the Bahamas. As for the line Kanye wrote about Pete, an insider said, "Pete thinks it's totally hilarious. Not just that, he thinks the whole tabloid drama with him, West, and Kardashian is hilarious. He loves it." And at this point, after dating Ariana Grande and many other big celebrities, Pete is pretty used to being tabloid fodder. However, even he admits that being with Kim has put him on a whole new level of scrutiny. The insider adds, "It's funny to him that the press wants to know his every move all of a sudden. Now, if this was just some other celebrity dating Kim, someone other than a comedian, I bet the response to Kanye's line would have been much more different. Pete is used to being roasted, so he shakes off Kanye's insults with no issue. However, I think Kanye was hoping that it would hurt his ego a little bit more and make him go crazy, thus driving a wedge between him and Kim. Unfortunately for Kanye, this actually brought the pair closer together."
Founder of Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk is basically a household name. The billionaire always seems to be in the news for something, from strange tweets to the interesting name he gave him and Grimes' child. One of Elon Musk's most recent and talked about endeavors, though, was his purchasing of the massive social media app Twitter. He purchased the app for a total of $44 billion. Yeah, this guy's clearly got money to spare. $33.5 billion through equity financing and $13 billion through loans. When he bought the app, he said he wanted to make it private and focus it more on supporting the right of free speech, which he called the bedrock of a functioning democracy. He also described Twitter as the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated. Pretty high praise for an app where I mostly just tend to see celebrity drama and my friends making really lame jokes. So it seems he likely wanted to buy the app based on his own social beliefs, and to try and make Twitter more of a political tool for both himself and others, like banned user ex-President Donald Trump. By being able to own and operate a direct access to the public, he could be looking to boost his own companies and the public's perception of him. His progress in buying the app was furthered just last Friday after passing the antitrust wait period. The antitrust law is a collection of laws that regulate conduct and organization of business to try and prevent unjust monopolies and promote competition. The Federal Trade Commission was given a 30-day period to look it over, and seemed to have no issues as the cutoff date came and went. Shares of Twitter went up by 0.33% on the Friday, while Tesla stocks went down over 8%. This coming from emails which revealed Musk is worried about the United States economy and plans to lay off 10% of Tesla's employees. He also had announced that the deal was temporarily on hold as he was trying to find more information about the number of fake and spam accounts on the app, and this leads to why it seems Elon Musk wants to back out on the deal. With Twitter withholding the information about spam and bots, Musk accused them of resisting and thwarting his right to the information. He also got mad at Twitter's chief legal officer and said that he reserves all rights to terminate the merger agreement. Twitter appeared to act like everything was going fine, as they issued a statement saying they will consummate the transaction in accordance to the terms of the merger agreement and continue to cooperatively share information with Musk. Elon seems to think they're doing just about as much sharing as a kindergartner. He believes that bot accounts make up almost half of Twitter's users and that he will not move forward with the purchase until he is provided with accurate information about how many accounts are spam. He said that Twitter was apparently only providing him with information about how they find bot accounts and not the actual number. Him and his attorney said that being provided with this information is a clear term for his acquisition of the app, and that by not providing it, they are violating this term, thus putting him in a legally right position to back out of the deal at this stage, saying that by withholding this information, they are trying to cover things up, perhaps worried about what Musk's own investigation into the app and accounts may discover. Twitter has disclosed these numbers before, providing them to the US Securities and Exchange Commission, though saying even in those discussions that the estimate may be a bit lower than reality. In response to the lengthy letter that Musk's attorney sent to the company, Twitter responded saying they plan to enforce the buyout at the agreed upon price and terms, and will provide the information that they are requesting. While Elon Musk believes that half of Twitter's 229 million users are bots, they apparently reported that it was only 5%, putting the number at about 11 million. Elon says if they're so confident in this estimate, why won't they just let him perform his own investigation into accounts? That obviously this is a sign that they're covering something up. Musk has always seemed to take issue with bot and spam accounts, and this may be one of the reasons he was originally interested in purchasing the app. He himself has had many fake accounts made of him, often promoting fake cryptocurrency and other scams. He thinks that these accounts are an issue for the majority of users as well as advertisers. While it appears he genuinely wants to know the truth of the accounts, some people say that this is him trying to get a lower price on the deal. Since the letter from his attorney came out on Monday, both Twitter and Tesla stocks have been changing. Twitter stocks went down 4%, while Tesla actually turned around to see an increase. The Tesla stocks had originally been dropping due to fears that Musk wouldn't be able to juggle all these companies effectively, so the hopes that he might back out has caused people to invest again. For now, we can only sit back and watch what happens. With Twitter seemingly wanting to continue with the deal, we may see them come forward with the truth of the bot accounts.
Recently, Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly announced their engagement on Instagram, with MGK saying that he proposed under a banyan tree where the pair had asked for magic 2 years before that. In Megan's announcement, she claimed that the pair drank each other's blood, and now to make things even weirder, MGK has confirmed that the ring he designed for Megan will hurt her if taken off. In Megan's post announcing the engagement, she writes, "In July of 2020, we sat under this banyan tree. We asked for magic. We were oblivious to the pain we would face together in such a short, frenetic period of time. Unaware of the work and sacrifices the relationship would require from us, but intoxicated off of the love and the karma. Somehow, a year and a half later, having walked through hell together and having laughed more than I ever imagined possible, he asked me to marry him. And just as in every lifetime before this one, and as in every lifetime that will follow it, I said yes. And then we drank each other's blood." Recently, the pair took to Milan for the Dolce & Gabbana Fall 2022 menswear show, and during an interview with Vogue, the newly engaged couple went into further detail regarding the ring. The interviewer said that they had read about the ring being commissioned by Stephen Webster, but then asked Coulson to go into more detail. He then says, "It's a thoroughbred Colombian emerald with no treatment. It was just carved into the teardrop straight out of the mine, and the diamond was directly from Stephen. The concept is that the ring can come apart to make two rings. When it's together, it's held in place by a magnet. So you see how it snaps together, and then it forms an obscure heart. And you see this right here? The bands are actually thorns. So if she tries to take it off, it hurts." He then added that love is pain. And man, I guess so, especially if there are thorns meant to jab you if she tries to even take it off. He also went on to explain why they both released video footage of the proposal, which became a big deal for many who couldn't get over the multiple angles that were being shown of this. It just made it all look very staged. Kelly goes on to explain further and says, "We released it to control the narrative, as opposed to someone just catching a weird cell phone picture of a ring on her hand and being like, whoa, but yeah, I didn't expect it. I just recorded it on my cell phone, and it wasn't like we had photographers or anything. It was just like me setting my phone against a cup." In Machine Gun Kelly's post, he shared a video of Megan's hand with her new emerald and diamond engagement ring and wrote in the post, "Yes, in this life and every life. Beneath the same branches we fell in love under, I brought her back to ask her to marry me. I know tradition is one ring, but I designed it with Stephen Webster to be two. The emerald, her birthstone, and the diamond, my birthstone, set on two magnetic bands of thorns that draw together as two halves of the same soul, forming the obscure heart that is our love." What's interesting about this new ring detail is that neither Megan or the interviewer really reacted to Kelly saying that the ring would hurt if taken off. I mean, the interviewer simply said, "That's very nice," and Megan, well, said nothing at all. Stephen Webster, the designer of the ring, also exclaimed exclusively told People magazine about the design and said, "By the use of magnets buried within the gold, the rings are attracted to each other and sit together perfectly on the finger. It's a detail that is both modern and quite extraordinary." And while he wouldn't disclose the cost of Meghan's engagement ring, diamond experts estimate that it could be worth up to $500,000, which is an expensive way to cut yourself if you're trying to take it off. Kanye West and actress Julia Fox have confirmed that they are now dating, and Kim Kardashian is not buying it, mainly because it was a little strange how these two went about announcing their new relationship. Julia actually wrote a 217-word story about her first 2 dates with Kanye that included a trip to New York City. Now that would be one thing, but accompanied with this story was a series of photos where the pair are basically all over each other. In the post she writes, "I met Ye in Miami on New Year's Eve, and it was an instant connection. His energy is so fun to be around. He had me and my friends laughing, dancing, and smiling all night. We decided to keep the energy going and fly back to New York City to see Soleil play. Ye's flight landed at 6 and the play was at 7, and he was there on time. I was impressed. After the play, we chose to do dinner at Carbon, which is one of my favorite restaurants, obviously. At the restaurant, Ye directed an entire photo shoot for me while people dined. The whole restaurant loved it and cheered us on while it was happening. After dinner, Ye had a surprise for me. I mean, I'm still in shock. Ye had an entire hotel suite full of clothes. It was every girl's dream come true. It felt like a real Cinderella moment. I don't know how we did it or how we got all of it there in time, but I was so surprised. Like, who does things like this on a second date or any date? Everything with us has been so organic. I don't know where things are headed, but if this is any indication of the future, I'm loving the ride." And so far, her date night story has become the most read article on Interview magazine's website. The photos from this article too are wild though, and on Interview's Instagram, they showed off snaps of the two with their heads together as they kissed, and even one where Julie was straddling Kanye in front of a clothing rack. According to the Daily Mail though, this new romance may be a little bit more complicated than it seems. Despite her describing these past few dates like a fairy tale, Prince Charming was also spotted out on a balcony with Puerto Rican pop star Audrey Nix in Miami on New Year's Day. And then less than 24 hours after taking Julia to NYC, he was also spotted spending more time with Audrey at a gated property. Following the images and story of Julia Fox and Kanye West dating, the legitimacy of their relationship was immediately called into question. It was also reported by an insider that Kim Kardashian basically sees this romance as just an attempt to make her jealous. Not only that, but she also alleged that Kanye had been documenting his many dates with his own media team. So this could all really just be for some big documentary that he's been secretly shooting about his life. Another source told The Sun, "Kim thinks it's comical Kanye went from begging her to come back to showcasing his new girl all over the city within days. She knows it's not serious and it's just typical hijinks from Kanye," adding, "Kim thinks it's another desperate attempt to make her jealous. She honestly doesn't care. She's very over him at this point, so his little game isn't working." Although the two are insisting that Fox and Ye are now a couple. According to page 6, the outlet revealed that they both just got out of their former relationships and have helped each other recover immensely. That being said, I understand why a lot of people would call this relationship into question. That insider isn't wrong. Kanye was saying Kim was still his wife and begging her to run right back to him not that long ago.
Why did Kanye just storm out of a podcast? The rapper walked out of an interview on Monday after he was asked to defend anti-Semitic remarks that he had previously made. He went on a live-streamed episode of Tim Pool's Timcast podcast alongside two extremely controversial figures, white nationalist Nick Fuentes and right-wing extremist Milo Yiannopoulos, who is also his campaign advisor for his 2024 presidential bid. Within the first 10 minutes of the podcast, in a rambling rant, Kanye compared himself to Martin Luther King, saying, "I thought I was more Malcolm X, but I found out I'm more MLK. I'm getting hosed down every day by the press, and financially. I found out that they tried to put me in jail." In response, Tim said, "I think they've been extremely unfair to you." And then Kanye challenged him, saying, "Who is they though? We can't say who they is, can we?" Tim seemed slightly confused and just said, "The press. I don't use the word the way I guess you guys use it." This prompted an outburst from Nick, who placed an uncomfortable emphasis on the word they. At this point, Kanye seemed to notice that Tim was not going to entertain his conspiracy theories, and he clearly didn't want to hear another perspective that doesn't align with his own. So as Tim was trying to explain what he meant by the word they, Kanye and his groupies stood up and stormed out of the room. To give you some background, Nick's YouTube channel was permanently suspended in early 2020 for violating the platform's hate speech policy. The 24-year-old attended the racist Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville in 2017 and the Stop the Steal rally on January the 6th that led to the Capitol riots. Nick also produces the America First podcast, which he has used to build a large following, especially for his blatant anti-Semitism. As for Milo, the former writer at the right-wing website Breitbart is known for his hateful stances on feminism and religion, and of course he's also known to be associated
affiliated with several known anti-Semitic figures. Milo has been permanently banned from Twitter since 2016 after a series of controversial posts, and he's also been banned from traveling to Australia after his comments about the 2019 massacre in New Zealand. And those are the two people that Kanye has chosen to help him with his presidential campaign. Later on during the podcast, a producer comes in and says that the three of them all left in a car together, and apparently Kanye told producers that he wasn't angry with Tim, but he just had an issue with being cut off. During the show, Ye also brought up his controversial dinner meeting with Donald Trump last week. Basically, just 2 days before Thanksgiving, he planned to have a private dinner with his old friend, the former president. The two had arranged to meet on Tuesday night at the Mar-a-Lago Club in Florida after weeks of private phone conversations. But Trump was in for a shock when Kanye arrived with 3 guests: Nick Fuentes, Trump's former campaign advisor Karen Giorno, and a man later identified as a parent of a student at Donda Academy. Apparently though, the dinner was not exactly the happy photo op that the former president had planned. The event was a complete disaster for several reasons. First, Kanye went into attack mode and criticized Trump for not doing enough to help pay the legal bills of those that were arrested in the Capitol riots. Then he said that he's going to run for president against him and suggested that Trump should be his running mate instead. In response, Trump attacked his ex-wife Kim Kardashian, and the situation just escalated from there. Not only that, but apparently he had no idea who Nick Fuentes was or his background when they dined together, so it was something of an ambush. When the news of the dinner started to spread, he received an avalanche of criticism for meeting with a controversial YouTuber. Several Republicans, including former Vice President Mike Pence, condemned the dinner and called on Trump to apologize. According to one confidant who spoke to NBC News, Trump was fuming afterwards that Ye had betrayed him and said, "He tried to F me, he's crazy, he can't beat me." Apparently he was totally blindsided and believes it was all a setup. To top it all off, Milo actually admitted to NBC News that he was the architect of the plan to have Nick travel with Kanye in the hopes of slipping him into the dinner with Trump. He said that he arranged the dinner just to make Trump's life miserable because he knew that the news of the dinner would leak and Trump would mishandle it. Milo also said that he wanted to send a message that he had systematically neglected and ignored the people who love him the most and the people who put him in office. In an attempt at some kind of damage control, the former president then issued 3 statements on Truth Social, admitting that he had no knowledge of Nick's identity prior to and during the dinner. He also said that he's going to implement new vetting procedures to ensure that a similar incident does not happen in the future. How do you hide the fact that you're having an affair with your co-anchor when you both work on the most watched morning show in America? Well, it turns out you can't. Not for long anyway. TJ Holmes and Amy Robach found that out the hard way. The 2 anchors of Good Morning America that are both married have suddenly become embroiled in a cheating scandal so crazy it seems like something straight out of an HBO drama. Intense speculation has been swirling around the nature of their off-screen relationship this week after damning evidence of a workplace affair surfaced on social media. According to an explosive Page 6 report, Holmes and Robach started secretly seeing each other in March this year, which is around the same time that they started training together the New York City Half Marathon. Shocking photos that surfaced online of the pair show them walking around upstate New York looking very close, and at one point even holding hands. Another set of photos taken in the weeks before Thanksgiving exposes that they went on a secret getaway to a remote cottage, and pictures were snapped of Holmes grabbing Robach's butt as she leaned into the trunk of a car. So at a certain point in their months-long affair, they let their guard down and got photographed cheating in broad daylight. So how were they able to hide it for so long? Well, according to an anonymous staffer at ABC News, they were very careful behind the scenes to keep their affair a secret. So much so that apparently the producers were shocked to hear about their relationship. But maybe Holmes and Robach weren't being nearly as clever as they thought they were being. Another inside source told People magazine that their chemistry had been on display in the newsroom for quite a while. Quote, "There were rumors they were having an affair about a year ago. A lot of people believe there might have been some truth to it because you can see there's a mutual affection there, but everyone ultimately chalked it up to a friendship because they always said they were both happily married." Well, clearly appearances can be deceiving, and we really have no idea what goes on behind closed doors. Besides, Holmes and Robach are both veteran broadcast journalists, so if they've mastered anything, it's keeping up appearances and maintaining professionalism. To make matters worse though, apparently Robach and Holmes have gone out on double dates with their respective spouses, and the 4 of them were all very close friends. In fact, in an interview, Robach said, "The moment he started at ABC, I think we just clicked. We've gone on tons of double dates with our spouses, and my daughters babysit his daughters." TJ Holmes has been married to lawyer Marilee Feibig for 12 years. They wed in 2010 and later welcomed their first child together, a daughter named Sabine. Holmes is also a dad to daughter Brianna and son Jaden from his previous marriage. The couple have now separated amidst the scandal. Coincidentally, Coincidentally, Amy Robach also got married in 2010 to actor Andrew Shue. She has 2 daughters, Annie and Ava, from her former marriage to Tim McIntosh, and she's also been a stepmother to Andrew's 3 sons. The couple have since separated and are currently going through a divorce. They also quietly sold their New York City home shortly before the controversy became public. So far, Andrew has deleted all of the pictures of his wife from his Instagram account. For her part, Robach restricted comments on her Instagram as fans noticed that she not only ditched her wedding band, but also stopped posting photos of her estranged husband. Meanwhile, Holmes' Instagram looks like it's been straight up deactivated. As for the hosts, they kept it strictly professional when they returned to the set just 1 day after the story broke. Interestingly enough, they made no comment about their personal lives during the hour that they hosted the show. So how is the network going to react? Is anyone getting fired over this? Well, no, apparently not. Sources at ABC News have said that the anchors will not be disciplined over their romantic relationship because they did nothing to warrant punishment, seeing as they are 2 consenting adults on equal levels in the company and have a right to date whoever they want. One network source told TMZ that the fact that they were on air the day after the scandal broke should telegraph to everyone that neither of them will suffer any consequences. Although we now know that some network staffers have called for the CEO Bob Iger to intervene. They told Daily Mail, "Disney needs to step in and take action here. We're a family-friendly network and these 2 are not displaying family values or Disney's values." But that's not all. Allegedly, several years ago, Robach actually had to go to ABC executives to dispel rumors that she was dating Holmes because everyone in the office was talking and saying that they hooked up, so she had to reassure her bosses that they were just friends. What is going on with Nikita Dragun? Yesterday, the trans YouTuber was arrested for walking around naked at Miami Beach hotel pool and causing a public disturbance. But what's really shocked fans is that she's currently being held in a men's prison. According to the police report, she was being extremely disorderly at the hotel and got even worse when she was asked to leave. Police say when they got there, Nikita had been causing a disturbance for a long period of time and walking around the pool area completely naked. They asked her to cut it out and she became irate and threw water on the hotel staffers. Once police arrived on the scene, they went with security up to her room where they heard loud music being played. She apparently opened the door after several knocks, but she slammed it again in their faces after they asked her to stop causing a disturbance. From that point on, things escalated very quickly. A few moments later, Nikita opened the door again and asked them, "Do you want more?" She then swung at the security guard and the officer with an open water bottle, which hit them and spilled all over them. Nikita ended up being booked for felony battery on a police officer, misdemeanor disorderly conduct, and misdemeanor battery. She left the high-end Miami Beach hotel in handcuffs, and she was booked at Miami-Dade County's Turner-Guilford Night Correctional Center on a $5,000 bond. A video on TikTok that has since gone viral showed Nikita in a prison jumpsuit on some kind of Zoom call saying, "Can I ask one question? Do I have to stay in the men's unit still?" In response, one of the officers said, "Yeah, I don't make the rules there, but it's a proper accommodation for you." In response, some Twitter users have taken issue with her placement and called it transphobic. As shocking as that news is, just hours before her arrest, Nikita was also kicked out of a nightclub for getting into an altercation with DJ duo Black V-Neck. The musicians told NBC News in a direct message that the fight started when Nikita tried to steal their liquor bottle, and when they told her off, she shoved them. The 26-year-old was then escorted out of the club by 6 security guards. The trans influencer is one of the biggest names in YouTube makeup channels, with over 27 million followers across YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. She started in 2014 and has become very well known online for her videos about her transition, lifestyle content, and makeup videos. But when the news of her arrest hit the internet, for some reason it had a lot of people celebrating and calling for her downfall. This is partly because while Nikita is successful, she's also managed to become one of the most controversial YouTubers to date. In June of 2020, she added her name to the growing list of entitled LA influencers who decided to hold a massive party when the pandemic was at its worst. A ton of her scandals have centered around what many would call appropriation of black culture and blatant anti-blackness. Back in 2017, Nikita was called out for blackfishing during a campaign photo shoot. She quickly shot down the accusations by blaming the lighting, saying that she was proud to represent her Vietnamese and Mexican roots in the campaign. Another incident occurred during the 2019 MTV Music Video Awards, when Nikita entered with 3 men on leashes, one of whom happened to be a black man. Then, in a tweet posted in October of 2020, she asked her followers what race she should be that day. For that tweet, she got absolutely roasted, both by her followers and by fellow YouTubers like Naima Tang, who slammed her for the post. She also stirred up drama in September of 2021 after dropping a song called DICK. She raps about famous men who have DM'd her and ones that she's been with as well. The music video opened up a massive debate in the LGBTQ community because many people felt that she was outing a whole bunch of straight men who didn't want to have that information go public, while others said, well, why does she need to hide her sexual history just because she's a trans woman? Despite the fact that she's been cancelled about 1 million times, Nikita has always managed to keep her career afloat. But lately, after a series of chaotic public appearances and altercations, it's quite obvious that she's going through a deeper kind of struggle. We know that she's been open about dealing with issues concerning her mental health over the past year. In December, she admitted to her fans that she was involuntarily committed to a psychiatric hospital in Virginia for 8 days starting on Thanksgiving Day. Then in a YouTube video posted in May that has since been deleted, she opened up to her followers and admitted that she'd been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. But realistically, there has to be some kind of underlying reason why her behavior has been so erratic these days.
Would you pay $20 a month for Twitter? Because that's one of the changes that Elon Musk wants to make. The SpaceX CEO completed his $44 billion takeover of Twitter last Thursday. Now that he officially owns the platform, he has given employees their first ultimatum: meet his deadline to introduce paid verification or pack up and leave. What he's trying to do is change Twitter Blue, which is their optional subscription of $4.99 a month that unlocks additional features, into a more expensive version of that also verifies users. According to The Verge, Twitter is currently planning to charge $19.99 for the new Twitter Blue subscription. Employees working on the project were told on Sunday that they need to meet a deadline of November the 7th to launch the feature or they will be fired. Elon has been clear in the months leading up to his acquisition that he wanted to revamp how the company verifies accounts. He posted more than 20 times over the weekend, and it seemed like he had conflicting opinions, but he did respond to one tweet that implied that Twitter employs way too many people, or at least too many people without the right skill set. Elon wrote, "There seems to be 10 people managing for every one person coding." Even though he is barely 3 days into taking charge, Elon has moved quickly to make changes, first by changing the homepage for logged out users. He's also brought Tesla engineers into Twitter as advisors, which makes sense because he's reportedly planning mass layoffs aimed at middle managers and engineers who haven't recently contributed to the codebase. Though cuts are expected to begin this week, with managers already creating lists of employees to cut. In fact, Elon has allegedly told investors that he plans to fire 75% of Twitter's employees, so 3/4 of the company's 7,500 staff. Jasmine Enberg, an analyst with Insider Intelligence, has said that employees are already worried about massive layoffs, and that a Musk-owned Twitter is likely going to result in even more chaos. In his letter, the tech billionaire made it clear that he didn't buy the company to make money. Instead, he says that he sees Twitter as more of a foundation for creating a super app that offers everything from money transfers to shopping and ride-hailing. He said the long-term potential for Twitter, in my view, is an order of magnitude greater than its current value. So what does he mean exactly? Well, it's difficult to tell, but we do know that he's already fired Twitter's leadership team. Within hours of the takeover, he fired the CEO, the head of legal, the chief financial officer, and many others. In fact, 2 of those executives literally got escorted out of the building. In an open letter to Twitter users and advertisers, Elon said that he bought the company because it is important to the future of civilization to have a common digital town square where a wide range of beliefs can be debated in a healthy manner without resorting to violence. But he did clarify that Twitter obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said without consequences. And if that sounds like he's backpedaling on his free speech campaign, that's because he kind of has to. The fact is that he won't be able to collect any advertising revenue without promising those advertisers brand safety, which means that he needs to actively crack down on hate speech to avoid alienating both users and advertisers. Otherwise, the platform won't be able to make any real money, because honestly, who is going to actually pay $20 a month for a subscription? It will be a difficult decision for Elon to make, but eventually he's going to realize that Twitter needs to be heavily moderated in order for it to succeed. The tech billionaire has also made it clear that he wants to control the high number of bots on the platform, which, if you don't know, are automated accounts designed to look like actual people, but instead simply parrot and spread misinformation or a particular biased point of view. In fact, internal data from Twitter says roughly 5% of the platform is bots, although Elon says the problem is actually much bigger than we realize and he wants to fix it. We also know that in May this year, Elon promised to reverse Twitter's ban on Donald Trump, who was removed from the platform after the Capitol riots, allegedly for inciting the violence. The former president posted on Truth Social after the takeover, writing, "I'm very happy that Twitter is now in sane hands. Twitter must now work hard to rid itself of all the bots and fake accounts that have hurt it so badly. It will be much smaller but better." Although Trump has insisted that he won't be returning to the platform, the move to reverse the ban on him suggests that more controversial figures like him will soon be allowed to return.
Who did Try Guys
does Ned Fulmer cheat on his wife with? Ned's infidelity was confirmed on the 27th of September. A few days ago, rumors began swirling that he had cheated on his wife with an employee. The internet went crazy when a video started circulating on social media of Ned kissing the Try Guys producer Alex Herring at a New York City bar. So who is she? Well, Alex is actually one of the most well-known employees of the company, and over the years, she has been featured in many videos. She works under Ned as the associate producer, so yes, there is definitely a gray area there when it comes to the power dynamic. But if that wasn't bad enough, she's engaged to her fiance, Will Thayer, and the couple has been together for 10 years. So this story is full of betrayal no matter which way you look at it. Just 2 days after the whole internet caught wind of the situation, Try Guys announced on Instagram that Ned had been fired from the company. The official statement said, "Ned Fulmer is no longer working for the Try Guys. As a result of an internal review, we do not see a path forward together. We thank you for your support as we navigate through this change." After the post, Ned took to his own Instagram confirming that yes, he had cheated on his wife. He said, "Family should have always been my priority, but I lost focus, and I had a consensual workplace relationship. I'm sorry for any pain that my actions may have caused to the guys and the fans, but most of all to Ariel. The only thing that matters right now is my marriage and my children, and that's where I'm going to focus my attention." Ned's wife Ariel released a statement at the same time, saying, "Thanks to everyone who has reached out to me. It means a lot. Nothing is more important to me and Ned than our family. And all we request right now is that you respect our privacy for the sake of our kids." But if anyone is wondering why Ned's infidelity is particularly egregious news, even the most casual fans of the Try Guys know that Ned Fulmer, who is one of the show's 4 stars, is an official wife guy. It's literally his whole brand. In almost every video, he would gush over his wife Ariel, with whom he has 2 sons, Wesley and Finn. The man even co-authored a cookbook with his wife. So when did people start to suspect that Ned was cheating? The internet conjured up some theories as to why the content creator was not involved in some of their videos for the last couple of weeks. In late September, a Reddit thread popped up with evidence of his infidelity. The theories ranged from Alex and Ned's appearances to direct messages from eyewitnesses of the moment that Ned kissed Alex. In the tweet that prefaced the drama, one user wrote, "Fans begin noticing that Ned has not been present in some of the recent Try Guys projects. Ned does not appear in the past 3 videos or intros. He also was not in the past 3 podcast episodes." As the main producer and one of the faces of the company, fans found this whole thing extremely worrying. Ned was also not featured in the intros of any of the videos. Fans also saw that many of the Try Guys employees, including Keith, Zach, and Eugene, unfollowed Alex and Ned on their social media. Fellow Food Baby and Try Guys senior editor YB Chang also unfollowed them. Alex's fiance Will even unfollowed her and removed all pictures of them together on his Instagram and made his account private. So pretty soon the picture became crystal clear. So what gives? Why does it seem like everyone's getting cheated on lately?
Elon Musk announced that he was going to be purchasing the social media app Twitter for a total of $44 billion. After this announcement, it didn't seem like anything else happened or even changed with the app. This is because Elon was actually trying to delay the deal, saying that Twitter was lying about the number of accounts on the app that were bots. They said it was around 5%, but Elon believed that it was actually closer to half of the over 200 million accounts active on the app. While Twitter said that they were providing Musk with all the information that he requested, he argued that it was the opposite, saying that they would not provide him with accurate information and would not allow him to launch his own investigation into the bot accounts. Because of this, Elon seemed to want to back out of the deal, claiming the fake accounts as the reason, even though taking down bot accounts had been one of the reasons he expressed for wanting to purchase the app. Twitter was obviously not happy about this and announced that they would be suing him to get him to follow through with the deal at the full agreed upon price, and they were asking a judge to bring Elon to justice. They think that the reason he is backing out has nothing to do with the bot accounts, but is instead all about how the deal has affected him financially. After he signed the deal, they say that Elon's worth dropped by about $100 billion, obviously because Elon's shareholders weren't a huge fan of the acquisition deal. Tesla stocks dropped massively after it was announced due to people believing that he wouldn't have time to balance all the companies. As a result, there were massive layoffs in Tesla and its value tanked, which would obviously put a dent in Elon's net worth and income. Tesla wasn't the only one affected though. Twitter's own market value also slumped after the deal was made. So the bigwigs at Twitter were obviously desperate to get their $44 billion and tried to recover the company. Elon backing out now and not going through with the deal would leave a massive dent in the company's worth. They are not happy about Elon's excuse of the bot accounts being the reason for his backing out, saying that it is a model of hypocrisy. They are saying this because Elon apparently made it clear that defeating the bots was one of his main reasons for buying the app. When it comes down to it, they say that Elon Musk signed the dotted line and now he needs to pay up, the bots not being a valid excuse. It was announced on Tuesday that the Delaware court ruled in Twitter's favor, saying that there will be an expedited trial to take place in regards to Elon's purchasing of the app. It will apparently be a 5-day trial and will take place in October of this year. Twitter's lawyer had originally requested a trial to take place in September, saying it was within the timeline of similar cases in the past. He also said that a quick trial schedule would be incredibly important because of the ongoing harm Twitter has been dealing with since the deal was announced, likely referring to the market value of the app dropping. They alleged that Musk's attempts to delay the trial and purchasing of the app were an attempt to run out the clock, so that the agreements he made to finance the purchasing would expire and he would no longer be required to follow through. Musk's lawyer shot back, saying that the quick timeline was far too aggressive and didn't provide their team with enough time to look through all the data at Twitter, including their investigation into the bot accounts. They said that Twitter is continuing to shroud that number in secrecy, but Twitter's lawyer said that this number was not necessary in their agreement. Musk and his lawyers asked that the court set the trial to take place next year, saying that Twitter initiated a sudden request for warp speed after 2 months of foot dragging and obfuscation. The foot dragging and obfuscation probably in reference to the information that Musk's team believed was being withheld from them. So it looks like the trial will be taking place in October of this year unless Musk's team can somehow find a way to make the judge change their mind on the matter. We'll have to wait and see how the court proceedings move forward and what, if any, new information may come out surrounding the situation.
Cara Delevingne's behavior is scaring fans. Supermodel Cara Delevingne has had a lot of buzz around her recently, and a lot of people are starting to be concerned. Pictures and video footage surfaced of Cara, who was seen at the Van Nuys Los Angeles airport appearing disheveled. She was walking around without shoes, wearing only yellow socks. She is observed being quite energetic and pacing back and forth with her dog Alfie. Witnesses claimed that Cara was on the phone, bending over, dropping her phone, and walking around looking very jittery and as if she was unable to stop moving. She is then seen boarding Jay-Z's private jet, in which she was allegedly 2 hours late for, and then after 45 minutes on the plane, she is seen exiting the plane along with her entourage. Witnesses have allegedly claimed that the model was being erratic, and that was why the plane did not take off. Eventually, her luggage was packed back in her car and she left the airport, where she was seen rolling down her window and sticking her feet out the window. All of this behavior is seemingly following her recent trip to Burning Man, a festival in the Nevada desert where people fend for themselves, a source said. This is no ordinary music festival. This is a festival in the desert where you essentially have to fend for yourself and bring your own food and water supply in an RV. And yes, of course, there are a lot of illicit drugs floating around. A source close to the model stated that she had just spent days in the desert, not eating all that much, and she looked disheveled because she hadn't had time to scrub up yet. As you can imagine, being in the desert, you aren't necessarily going to appear the most clean when you leave it. You also may appear to be disheveled if you have been doing illicit drugs for days straight. However, earlier in July, Cara appeared on Jimmy Fallon to promote season 2 of Only Murders in the Building, and she was once again seen being quite jittery. She was demonstrating a magic trick and her hand was visibly trembling so much that she had to acknowledge it. She said, quote, "Can you see how much my hand is shaking?" To which Jimmy asked, "Yes, is that part of the trick?" Also, in August, Delevingne was seen pictured with sunken eyes and dark rings around them while smoking a pipe and sitting alone in in her car. It's understandable why fans may be concerned about the model. However, sources close to the model have stated that when Cara sees these kinds of photos, quote, she will think that the pictures are funny. She doesn't think there's anything wrong with the way she is living her life and says she is absolutely fine.
Over the last month, we've seen Johnny Depp in his battle against Amber Heard, suing her for defamation for the op-ed she wrote in the Washington Post, saying that she was acting with intended malice. The jury agreed with Johnny, awarding him in their verdict with all 3 accounts. Now we can look to the broken up Brangelina, where we see Brad Pitt suing his ex Angelina Jolie over a situation where she sought to inflict harm. The parallels in the 2 cases are obvious, and while Brad Pitt originally started his legal battle in February, we can't help but wonder if he's taken inspiration and motivation from Johnny's win to keep pushing the case and change the angle from which he was attacking. So here's Brad's case against Angelina. Back in 2008, the couple bought a controlling stake in the south of France vineyard and home, Chateau Miraval. In 2014, they got married there and would often spend family holidays there together throughout the course of their relationship. After the divorce, Angelina went forward with selling her half of the shares to a quote-unquote stranger. Brad says that this has damaged the reputation of the wine business and that Angelina never contributed anything to Miraval's success. Brad referenced that supposed success by saying the vineyard was his passion project, which grew into a multi-million-dollar global business and one of the world's most highly regarded producers of rosé wine. Brad says that she was seeking to inflict harm on him by making the sale, and that he had never agreed with her selling her shares, which would go against the deal that they had made, this being that the other could never sell their interests in the business without the other's explicit consent. Pitt's lawyers say that Jolie had been planning to sell hers to Tenute Del Mondo, which is bent on taking control of Miraval's and is indirectly owned and controlled by Yuri Shefler, the Russian billionaire who controls the Stoli Group. Jolie then apparently went through with the sale in secret, not telling Brad and knowingly violating his contractual rights. Apparently, Shefler is launching a hostile takeover of the vineyard and trying to get hold of confidential information for the benefit of his competing enterprise, saying he has cutthroat business tactics and is jeopardizing the brand reputation that Pitt worked hard to build. His lawyers being quoted as saying that Jolie has sought to force Pitt into partnership with a stranger, and worse yet, a stranger with poisonous associations and intentions. This obviously being their first grounds for the idea that Angelina was intending to cause harm to Brad Pitt and his business, implying that she had the foreknowledge of what the buyer was intending to do after they bought her shares. Brad Pitt is seeking damages for a yet undecided amount and wanting the sale to be declared as null and void. He is asking for a trial by jury, probably wanting to see the same victory that Johnny Depp won from them. And here's exactly what he's suing for: breach of implied in fact contract, breach of quasi-contract pleaded in the alternative, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, abuse of rights under Article 6.1 of the Luxembourg Civil Code, tortious interference with contractual relations, tortious interference with prospective business relations, and constructive trust. That was a mouthful. Brad Pitt and Angelina are of course no strangers to drama, so let's go over a few of their best hits throughout the years. In 2016, an alleged drunk altercation led to Brad Pitt being investigated for a situation that took place between the family on a private jet. In 2019, Angela said she felt frustrated that she needed to live close to wherever Brad was, him citing the desire to be able to have his children close by where he could visit. In 2020, Jolie tried to disqualify the judge that was overseeing their custody trial, and later that year it was said that tensions between the two were rising and they were no longer going to family therapy. Yeah, the two have obviously had a lot of bumps along the way, especially in the time following their split. As we wait to see if the trial by jury goes forward, I think it's unlikely that their trial will gain as much notoriety or coverage as Heard and Depp's did. We likely won't be able to get as much information about the goings-on as it moves forward, but it will be interesting to see if the similar case ends up moving forward fared in a similar manner. So most of us know that a little while ago, billionaire Elon Musk made the decision to purchase Twitter for a whopping total of $44 billion. And then we haven't really heard much else about it, and the app hasn't seemed to change at all. So is it still happening? Well, it doesn't look like it. According to reports, Elon is trying to back out, and Twitter is suing him to try and get him to pay up the full amount and follow through with his acquisition of the app as he had promised. Elon seems to see some roadblocks in front of him that have made him turn his back and change his mind on the decision. Elon put the deal temporarily on hold a little while ago due to the fact that he was trying to get Twitter to tell him the true percent of accounts on the app that were actually bots, as he believed that they had falsely reported it. They reported that out of 229 million users at the time, only 5% were bots, or around 11 million accounts. Still a pretty large number, but Musk believed that the true number was around half. One of his main motivations for purchasing the app was to kill all the bot accounts, so obviously getting accurate information on this would be pretty important to him. He believed that these fake and often promotional accounts were one of the main issues on the app for both regular users and brands that use the platform for advertising. Elon's attorney said that getting this information was a clear term in their acquisition, and that if they did not get the information, then they would be well within their rights to back out of the multi-billion-dollar deal. Twitter obviously wants the money, but we're choosing not to investigate into the bot accounts or even let Elon investigate it himself. So this made Musk believe that they obviously had something to hide, and the bot numbers were probably closer to his own estimate than the stated 5%. Twitter put out a statement at the time that they were providing all the information he had requested, but Elon said that this simply wasn't true. He said that they were only giving him information about the way they found bot accounts and not about just how many were actually bots. Twitter has always seemed to want to cover this up, as they have previously shared the bot information with the US Securities and Exchange Commission, but even when they did that, they put a disclaimer that the number was probably actually even lower than what they were reporting. Well, Elon Musk is not happy about how this bot situation has played out and says he is well within his rights to now back out of the deal, but Twitter doesn't seem to think so. They are now suing him to try and get him to follow through on the deal at the full agreed upon price, and they're asking a judge to bring Elon to justice. They think that the reason he is backing out has nothing to do with the bot accounts, but is instead all about how the deal has affected Musk financially. After he signed the deal, they say that Elon's worth dropped by about $100 billion, obviously because Elon's shareholders weren't a huge fan of the acquisition. Tesla stocks dropped massively after it was announced due to people believing that he wouldn't have time to balance all the companies. As a result, there were massive layoffs in Tesla and its value tanked, which would obviously put a dent in Elon's net worth and income. Tesla wasn't the only one affected though. Twitter's own market value also slumped after the deal was made. So the bigwigs at Twitter are obviously desperate to get their $44 billion and try to recover the company. Elon backing out now and not going through with the deal would obviously leave a massive dent in the company's worth. They're not happy about Elon's excuse of the bot accounts being the reason for his backing out, saying that it is a model of hypocrisy. They are saying this because Elon apparently made it clear that defeating the bots was one of his main reasons for buying the app. So since he obviously knows that bots are such a big deal and he wants to fight the good fight against them, why would the mere existence of them be his reason for going back on the deal? Wouldn't this make him want to buy the app more so he can save it from the terrible evil bots? When it comes down to it, they say that Elon Musk signed the dotted line and now he needs to pay up, his excuse not being valid.
We've all heard the song Kumbaya, My Lord, but who could have ever thought that Kanye could use that song to hurl racial slurs at Trevor Noah for defending Pete Davidson? The word Kumbaya is believed by many music historians to be Pidgin English and a transliteration for the prayerful plea to God of come by here. However, the first part of that word could be twisted to be utilized as a racial slur, which is exactly what we saw Kanye doing at 5 a.m. He posted a photo of Trevor Noah's Google profile, and while you can see what he was calling him in that caption, it's clear that Kanye must have been up late watching last night's Daily Show because Trevor spoke about the ongoing feud with Kim, Kanye, and Pete. Despite many people suggesting that this was all just a publicity stunt for the new Kardashian show on Hulu, Trevor warned that people should be taking this more seriously. On the show, he said, "Two things can be true. Kim likes publicity. Kim is also being harassed. I see a woman who wants to live her life without being harassed. And the host then went into more detail about Kanye's mental health issues and how Pete sending him that text about being in Kim's bed probably didn't help the situation. He also added, "What she's going through is terrifying to watch and shines a spotlight on what so many women go through when they choose to leave." He then insisted that it is always the woman in the relationship who is questioned for what is happening to them, giving up his own personal experiences of his mother constantly being told that she was overreacting. Eventually though, he got a call from his brother saying that their mom had been shot. He then made clear that he's not suggesting Kanye will do this, but that as a society we need to ask ourselves questions. He adds, "Do we wish to stand by and watch a car crash when we thought we saw it coming? Or do we at least want to say, slow down, let's all put our hazards on because there's a storm coming and ish might go down? If Kim Kardashian cannot escape this, then what chance do normal women have?" And Trevor was simply offering up his own experience of having his stepfather take his mother's life and suggested that we stop joking about Kim and Ye's divorce. In addition to coming after Trevor Noah, Kanye also has been posting non-stop about comedian DL Hughley, although I can't tell if this is hate mail or a love letter. In one post he's mocking DL's outfit, and then in another he writes, "Funny thing is we'll probably end up being friends. I used to defend him back when he had work. Like, nah, he funny, you just gotta watch it 1 trillion more times to get it." I mean, at least with him posting all of these new celebrity feuds, we are less likely to see him trashing the mother of his children online, but he did post about Pete a few times before he went off on DL and Trevor Noah. In earlier Instagram posts, Kanye posted an article that was calling Pete out for a bad joke of his, and in the caption Ye writes, "Yet another reason why Skeet gotta stay away from my children. Oh, and nobody noticed that he ain't show up to SNL because Mr. I Can Help You With Your Meds had a mental breakdown after we ran him off the internet. Skeet, you not built for this. I already blacked the Super Bowl out on you. Apologize to your family for being in your family." And one thing is for sure, all of this beef with Pete Davidson has only elevated Kanye's Instagram following. He was at 9 million or so, I believe, not that long ago, and now with everyone wanting to know what crazy thing he's going to say next, he has moved up to over 15 million followers.
What happens next now that Elon Musk owns Twitter? The SpaceX CEO completed his $44 billion acquisition of Twitter on Thursday evening, and almost immediately he decided to fire the company's leadership team. Whatever he's planning, he obviously means business, but the news has left a lot of people wondering what on earth is going to happen now. Within hours of the takeover, we know that he fired CEO Parag Agrawal, the head of legal Vijaya Gadde, chief financial officer Ned Segal, and many others. In fact, 2 of them literally had to be escorted out of the building that was Twitter's San Francisco headquarters, which is obviously a pretty aggressive way for Elon to show them who's in charge. Reports have suggested that he has installed himself as the new CEO, but that has yet to be confirmed. He marked the transaction with a post to his 110 million followers, declaring that the bird has been freed and let the good times roll, which is a reference to the company's corporate logo. In an open letter to Twitter users and advertisers, Elon said that he bought the company because it is important to the future of civilization to have a common digital town square where a wide range of beliefs can be debated in a healthy manner without resorting to violence. But he did clarify that Twitter obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said without consequences. So obviously he doesn't intend to see it become a lawless place like the other dark corners of the internet. He also made it clear that he wants to crack down and control the high number of bots on the platform, which, if you don't know, are automated accounts designed to look like actual people, but instead simply parrot and spread misinformation or a particular biased point of view. In fact, internal data from Twitter says roughly 5% of the platform is bots, although Elon says that the problem is actually much bigger than we realize and he wants to fix it. Now, this is where his plan gets a little evil, or a necessary evil depending on how you look at it. Elon has told investors that he plans to fire 75% of Twitter employees, so 3/4 of the company's 7,500 staff. Jasmine Enberg, an analyst with Insider Intelligence, has said that employees are already worried about massive layoffs. A Musk-owned Twitter is likely going to result in even more chaos. In his letter, the tech billionaire made it clear that he didn't buy the company to make money. Instead, he says that he sees Twitter as more of a foundation for creating a super app that offers everything from money transfers to shopping and ride-hailing. He said, "The long-term potential for Twitter, in my view, is an order of magnitude greater than its current value. What happens now is far from obvious, but one thing's for sure is that Donald Trump is going to get unbanned, and there's been speculation that several other controversial figures will be re-platformed in the coming weeks." In May this year, Elon promised to reverse the ban on Trump, who was removed from the platform after the Capitol riots, allegedly for inciting the violence. The former president posted on Truth Social after the takeover, writing, "I am very happy that Twitter is now in sane hands. Twitter must now work hard to rid itself of all the bots and fake accounts that have hurt it so badly. It will be much smaller, but better." Although Trump has since insisted that he won't be returning to the platform. It's quite ironic because when he was banned from from Twitter, Trump went on a rant on Truth Social saying, "When Elon Musk came to the White House asking me for help on all of his many subsidized projects, whether it's electric cars that don't drive long enough, driverless cars that crash, or rocket ships to nowhere, without which subsidies he'd be worthless, and telling me how he was a big Trump fan and a Republican, I could have said drop to your knees and beg, and he would have done it." He also made fun of Elon for buying Twitter in the first place and claimed that the $44 billion company is essentially worthless. With Elon running the show, there's also been growing concern online regarding the rise in hate speech, and people are worried that his leadership might help to facilitate it. For instance, there's already speculation that Kanye will be able to return to Twitter on a permanent basis. He was recently locked out of his Twitter and Instagram accounts after making anti-Semitic posts which caused a firestorm online. In response, Elon tweeted, "Talked to Ye today and expressed my concerns about his recent tweet, which I think he took to heart. So it's entirely possible that Kanye will be re-platformed regardless of what he says." And if you want to know how a whole lot of people feel about the news, just take a look at this tweet. Marvel actor Simu Liu wrote, "Was there nothing better to do with $44 billion? The post got 333,000 likes and started a massive debate in the Twitter sphere. YouTuber Matt McMuscles commented under his post that solving world hunger several times over would have been nice, referencing Elon's tweet last year about selling Tesla stock to solve world hunger." Kim Kardashian permanently damaged Marilyn Monroe's iconic dress. Marilyn Monroe's famous dress that she wore when singing Happy Birthday Mr. President to John F. Kennedy in 1962 has suffered permanent damage after Kim Kardashian wore the fragile garment to the 2022 Met Gala. How do we know? Well, Scott Fortner, a collector who assists in authenticating and verifying memorabilia that is exclusively related to Marilyn Monroe, shares photographs of the dress in a blog post after Kim had returned it, which appeared to show stretched fabric and missing crystals on the back. While being interviewed on the red carpet, she said that when she first tried it on, it didn't fit her. So to ensure that the dress wouldn't tear, she dropped 16 pounds ahead of the event in order to squeeze into it, and changed into a replica once she got to the entrance of the party, because she couldn't walk up the museum steps of the Met Gala without ripping the original. But the fact that the historical gown was even allowed to be worn is crazy enough. It was bought by the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum in 2016 for $4.8 million and is usually kept in a darkened, temperature-controlled vault at 40 to 50% humidity to preserve the delicate fabric. French designer Jean-Louis created the iconic dress by dyeing the fabric a nude color to perfectly match Marilyn's skin tone. The idea was to come close to the illusion of nudity as possible. He also created the dress by sewing it straight onto her body while she was naked, which is why to this day we can still see what her exact proportions looked like in real life. So of course the internet is fuming that Kim permanently damaged the dress, because according to its design, the fabric is quite literally irreparable. Many people on Twitter shared their disappointment that such a timeless and iconic artifact has been ruined, even though Kim told Vogue ahead of the Met Gala, quote, "I'm extremely respectful to the dress and what it means to American history." And she went on to say that she would never sit in it or eat in it or wear the kind of body makeup that she usually does. Some of the blame also went to the Ripley's Museum, which loaned the dress to her, many calling the decision irresponsible and just a publicity grab. But even though all the right precautions were taken, I think the biggest red flag should have been the fact that Kim couldn't even walk up the stairs in the dress without tearing it. For that reason, it was only a partial slay. Who do you think is responsible for the damage, Kim Kardashian or the Ripley's Museum?
Amber Heard has just been caught lying under oath, and it's all thanks to a makeup company calling her out. If you didn't know, Johnny Depp is waging a $50 million defamation suit against Amber Heard, and in doing so, his legal team claimed that she had doctored the photos presented to police. The photos in question are the ones where she appears to have two black eyes, which she claims were a result of a 2015 incident with Johnny Depp. Depp's lawyer, Benjamin Chu, said in a court filing, "Ms. Heard's counsel has repeatedly used these phony photographs at deposition." And back in 2019, Amber had written an op-ed piece for the Washington Post where she spoke about domestic violence. Despite not mentioning Johnny Depp's name directly in the article, she later claimed that she suffered two black eyes, a broken nose, and a busted lip after Depp attacked her in Los Angeles. However, Depp's lawyer countered and said that when the LAPD had arrived at the home, they found no injury upon Ms. Heard and saw no sign of disruption in the penthouse. Chu alleged further in his filing, "Ms. Heard and her friends then fabricated photos that she used to obtain an ex parte, TRO, which is a temporary restraining order, and a $7 million divorce settlement, which Ms. Heard falsely testified in London that she gave to the ACLU, and more scandalously to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, sick children with cancer. The LAPD also disavowed the photos that were submitted because they said it did not depict what they had saw. Now, this Virginia court is allowing Depp's legal team to get an expert that can take a look at Amber's photos and try to find evidence of any photo tampering. The earlier images that were submitted could also not be properly verified because they came without any metadata, which made it harder for their expert Brian Neumeister to actually verify the details of this photo. Benjamin Chu goes on to speak about this in the court filing and says, Mr. Neumeister's preliminary investigation shows that a number of the photographs have been run through a photo editing application called Photo 3 that can easily manipulate images such as showing bruises where none actually existed. Back in November of 2020, Johnny Depp lost his libel case against the Sun newspaper in the UK. And this court battle was over a disparaging article that they printed about him, and in the ruling by Judge Nicol, he said that the Sun had proved their article to be substantially true, which was based on them finding that 12 of the 14 alleged incidents of domestic violence had actually occurred. But in this new finding, Depp's legal team argued that the Sun's own expert had said that the photos presented by Amber were manipulated 3 years after the original incident. He went on to say that this expert had found that the photos were from an iPad Pro 10.5 and were created either on or after October 6, 2018, saying that any editing of the trial bundle versions would have been on or after October 6, 2018. He then claims, so Ms. Heard or someone on her behalf doctored those photographs 3 years later. When that came up in her testimony in London, Ms. Heard falsely denied it. In short, Your Honor, without forensic imaging, Mr. Neumeister cannot properly assess or verify Ms. Heard's data. There was something else that he mentioned which also sort of struck me as odd. When Amber Heard appeared on James Corden's show the day after this alleged attack, she said that she actually wore heavy makeup to hide the bruising. But Depp's lawyer said that Amber was actually trying to masquerade as a victim instead of the attacker. In the same filing for Amber to turn over her phone, the judge also denied the notion that Depp should have to also hand over his phone records and laptop, mainly because Amber Heard's attorney had asked for too broad of a search. Now, just a few days ago, Amber Heard's attorney claimed that her client would cover up the alleged bruising using a makeup kit during her relationship with Depp, but the brand that she uses as an example is actually calling her out for lying. During her lawyer's opening statement, she told the jury that they had been hearing testimony and seeing evidence proving Amber would use different products to achieve this, and to support her claim, she held up one of the items that Amber had apparently used way back when this first happened, including a very specific Milani correcting kit. And the issue with this is that the makeup kit she was holding up was not even in circulation during the time period that her lawyer was describing, which would be roughly between 2012 and 2016. And the company even posted a TikTok video on their page that refuted the claims made by Heard's attorney. In the caption they wrote, "You asked us, let the record show that our correcting kit launched in 2017. And in addition to that caption, they added a hypercut of videos to support their claim that the makeup wasn't launched until December of 2017. So in short, it proved that there was no way Amber could have even been carrying around this kit in her purse like her lawyer had claimed. However, she wouldn't be a good lawyer if she didn't have an excuse for every counterclaim. It is possible that her response to this will be that she wasn't talking about the Milani kit in particular, but rather giving an example of what a makeup kit looked like. I'm assuming that will be the defense. To be fair, she didn't specifically mention the company's name, but they certainly took offense to being used in this trial when the kit had not even been released yet. As per TMZ, a friend of Amber's told them, Ms. Heard's lawyer was using an example of the kind of makeup that she used, but it's a sad day when a makeup company uses that as an opportunity to make light of what victims of domestic violence have to do to hide the results of the they endure.